This is the big game. Buy-in cost you somewhere anywhere between $100,000 and $250,000. And the action is on Andrew Feldman from the UK.
Andrew, a very tidy player, but he's been pretty quiet so far. Not now, though. Under the gun, he makes it 2,100 to go.
Well, he's got 9-10 of hearts, an interesting hand, suited connector. And there is our Hungarian billionaire, Sandor, in the action. He's picked up 9-jack offsuit.
Sandor feels lucky. What about Massa?
Well, Massa's picked up pocket eights here. Could potentially raise. No, he just makes the call, playing a bit carefully. Gus gets out of the way, around to Tom Dwan, who, as you can see by the amount of chips in front of him, is having a very, very good day.
And that has inspired him to make the call with just a 5-3 offsuit.
So 4 to the flop, and here it comes. It is an ace 8-4 flop, massive flop for Masa Kagawa, flopping middle set. Dwan has an inside straight draw.
Nothing there for Feldman. But he is going to make the continuation bet.
5,500.
5,500 is the amount. Sandor gets out of the way. Round to Massa now with his middle set.
A lot of blinking from the Japanese man. I wonder whether the expert players will be picking up on that. So he's sitting with him for quite a while.
He decides not to raise. He's just going to call here, trapping. Now,
is that pricing Tom Dwan in?
Well, with that many chips in front of you, like you mentioned earlier, you know, sometimes you can speculate with risky hands, and it looks like that's what he's doing. And he's reaching for chips, so he's not going anywhere. He makes the call, and we go to the turn. And the turn is a 2 of spades, so Tom Dwan's speculation has paid off. And he checks.
Check.
And Feldman checks as well, so it's over to Massa now, who at the flop was such a favourite, and now could be betting into, well, a storm, really.
Yeah, he's going to need the board to pair. We know he's not going to get Tom Dwan off this hand. Tom at the moment has the nuts.
11,000.
He bets 11,000. Now it's over to Durr. Will he choose to raise? He's generally been slow playing his monster hands, as we saw a little earlier with Chris Ferguson.
But Massa is no Chris Ferguson, and it may be that Tom will play it differently against the less experienced player.
Looks like he's reaching for the bigger priced chips, the more expensive ones.
Yeah, remember, this is value for value, the same as cash. So it's like he's taking a big wad out of his wallet.
And he makes a very big raise. Andrew Feldman gets out of the way, and the action is back over to Massa. It's a tough spot, really.
Yeah. The shipping magnate, I'm sure, knows his way around a boardroom. He's also a successful poker player, certainly in terms of Japanese rankings. But playing against Tom Dwan is a whole different kettle of sushi.
Well, he's re-raising here. He's decided, I think I've got the best hand.
How much is it? 49,200 to call.
49,200 to call for Tom Dwan, who has the nuts. He's decided not to slow play this hand, and it looks as though it's paid off at this point. Massa still has outs to the river.
So Tom Dwan's going to be putting him either on a set or ace-king here. A big, big ace anyway.
Well, he's made an incredible call at the flop, and it has paid off. Right now, he's just trying to figure out how to get the most chips out of Massa. Massa still has a lot of outs. But right now, Durr is in the best position possible. And he makes a call, so choosing not to re-raise Massa right there. Massa still has a lot of money left in front of him. So Massa looking for a repeat. And the river is a king of hearts, so Tom Dwan has the nuts.
And if Tom Dwan was putting him on ace-king, he checks!
Wow, that is very courageous and gutsy poker from Tom Dwan. Checking there, risking a possible check from Massa behind him and not getting paid off on the river. And look at that, it's paid off. Massa picks up $100,000 in one chip and bets 70 of it.
Yeah, even though he'll get some change back from that plaque that's gone in, he's more or less committing himself.
Play moves all in.
And there it is, Tom Dwan pulling the trigger, Massa quickly calling. And look at the disgust in his face as he sees such a big turn card for Tom Dwan and such a terrible card for him.
Amazing. There is $400,000 and more in the middle of this base, and Tom Dwan has just won it with a 3-5 offsuit.
Well, he took a big risk and it certainly paid off.
And Patrick Antonius wins.
It's a hell of a band-aid. We've still got a lot of poker to play. I'm sitting next to the 2005 World Series of Poker main event champion. I have to say that every time before I announce your name, Joe. Unfortunately, it's a hell of a title. So, you've played these stakes. Do you approach this field? I mean, the answer will be yes, but let's get more into it. Do you approach this field a lot differently to a main event, for example?
It's when you play in this field, you're playing with a known quantity. You know the players, you know their tendencies, you know they're not going to do anything ridiculous. So it's kind of like it helps you corral their activities. Whereas when you play in a large field event with a lot of unknowns, a lot of players who are amateur players, they could do anything, like we saw Dwaglen do in the main event. You know, like this event, there's more pressure because the level of thinking is higher, but at the same time, how do I say? I don't want to use the word easier, but I want to use the word more predictable, perhaps. Like, I know that he's going to make a move that makes sense.
And they seem so relaxed too. Look at this. Well, we have Jason Moe raising with Queen Jack offsuit. Richard Yong calls and flops a full house, and it looks as though Jason's going to bet into him with what he thinks is a straight draw that might be live.
We haven't spoken about Jason. Jason's a young gun of an online player. He has built up a very impressive record online, and he's very feared.
Well, he bets 65,000 and gets a call from Richard Yong. And look at this, the turn, as though it was scripted, a 9 of spades. So that will cost Jason Moe, I'd imagine, quite a bit.
The poker gods are so cruel, aren't they?
They sure are. Well, the pot now almost 300,000. Jason Moe with 1.2 behind him. Turns a straight. Little does he know Richard Yong is sitting on a full house. And he's pretty much flopped him dead. There is no chance that Jason will win this hand. He has bet 145,000. Will Richard Yong elect to call? Or will he pull the trigger now? Richard Yong, the dealer, tells him there's 20 seconds left on the clock. Each player has 30 seconds.
Jason bets out 145,000.
Richard Yong making a big bet of over 350,000 now, trying to get the rest of Jason Moe's money, given that Jason has such a strong hand. Is this the time, Joe? Is this where he sticks it in? Would he be wrong to?
No, he wouldn't be wrong to. Look, you know, I've said it time and time again. It's hard enough to make a pair, let alone a straight, let alone a full house. So it's sometimes you just get cold decked. This is a cold deck.
Jason calls.
He's announced call, so we will see a river. And the river is an 8 of hearts and gives Richard Yong quads, and he announces all in. So
unfortunately, Paul, though, that is the worst card in the deck for Richard. Because now Jason beats nothing now. It's an easy fold for him at this point. We've noticed the dealer in the background calling 20 seconds. This tournament is played, everyone only gets 30 seconds to act on their hand. And you see the blue buttons in front of every player? That's extended time. So you get like another minute, a minute and a half if you want to think about your hand. And the reason we've done this is so that people do not think for too long. and waste time.
Is it possible that the lucky 8 on the river for Richard Yong giving him quads could be a saviour? And it is, Joe. You're right. It saved Jason Moe. He would likely have called had that river been anything else.
Yeah,
But Richard
I mean-
Yong with a very